Hey, Eric.
Hello.
Good morning. Good
Hold
morning.
on, I can't. Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I got my earbuds in. And please keep an eye on the attendees list and promote them up to panelists if necessary. Good morning, Darlene.
Good morning.
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 Good morning, Tony.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You let me know if you need anything.
So you want to move, you want to add 5H?
Yeah,
5B, I mean?
yeah, 5B. So we'll shift everything down. And yeah, Megan got some good news on Friday of an $80,000 grant that we got from the Department of Housing. So
Okay.
yeah, so she's
That'll be 5B, and we'll move the rest of them down.
Yep.
Okay. That's great that that grant came through.
Yeah, so what we'll do is, and Megan will talk about it, but it will give some money to be able to provide assistance to towns who want to change their zoning regulations or promote housing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
I have someone coming in my office right now, so I just need like a couple of minutes. So I'll jump back on in a few minutes, okay?
Yep. All good. Yeah, last night I got a text message from the chair of our a regional planning committee about a bill being heard on Friday that actually they're taking up an idea that we had proposed to the Planning and Development Committee, that the state, regional, and municipal plans of conservation development should be done in order. That that in 2030 they'll do the state plan. Then after they adopt that, we'll do the regional.
I'll call the meeting to order, and Sam, would you please call the roll?
Yeah, Chester, Cindy Lignar. She is here. You're muted, but you're here. I can see you. All right. Good morning. Clinton, Michelle Benivenia. She was here. She had to step away, but she's still logged into the meeting, so I'm going to count that. Cromwell, Anthony Salvatore.
Here.
Deep River, Carol Dulac-Jones. Is Carol here?
She's in attendees, Sam.
Okay, she's on the attendees. So Carol, we're going to promote you to a panelist, so please accept. All right. Great. All right. Durham, Brendan Ray. Are you here? I don't see Brendan. All right. Yeah. East Haddam, Irene Haynes. Oh, there's Carol. Welcome, Carol. I don't see Irene. Let's see. East Hampton, David Cox. He is here. Essex, Norm Needleman or Carrie Duquesne. Is Carrie here? Good morning, Carrie. Haddam, Robert McGarry.
I'm
I
here.
think I saw him. All right, there you are. Killingworth, Eric Couture.
Hello.
All right, welcome. Good morning. Lyme, David Lum. Is David here? I don't see him. Middlefield, Bobby Amartino or Jim Irish?
Here.
There's Jim Irish. Oh, and Bobby Amartino.
Yeah.
So you're both here. Thank you. Middletown, Ben Florsheim. I do not see Middletown. Old Lyme, Martha Shoemaker. I don't see her either. Old Saybrook, Carl Fortuna is here. Welcome. Portland, Michael Pelton. And,
I'm here.
Welcome. And Westbrook, John Hall.
Good morning.
And I'll just take this moment to welcome Michael to RiverCOG. Thank you. It's actually you were attended last month, but welcome again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. For the MPO, we have Darlene Briggs from Middlesex County Chamber.
Good morning.
Good morning. And is Joe Comerford from Estuary Transit District here?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. So that rounds out the MPO. Let me just introduce RiverCOG staff that I see. I'm Sam Gold. We have Janice Erlenmeyer, Kevin Armstrong, and Elizabeth Rolston, Megan Juthless, Rob Harrimet, Laszlo Presti, Margot Burns. Am I missing any other staff?
Susie Beckman is here.
There's Susie. From Connecticut DOT, we have Grayson Wright. We also have Marcos Gonzalez from RiverCOG. Phil Goff from VHB, who'll be presenting. We also have Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office. It looks like Anna Savastano and from Eversource, Aaron McBride from Senator Murphy's office. Nicole Velarde from Demis. We also have Catherine Russell from Deep River. We have Carol Conklin, our regional election advisor, joining us by phone. We have Allison Dvorak of Senior Resources. Welcome. And David Keeling. Who are you with? Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry, with the Cylinder Collective along with Kim O'Rourke.
Oh, Kim O'Rourke. Yeah, so you're going to be our guest speakers. And we have Lori McElwee, our regional mobility manager. And I think that is everyone. If I haven't introduced you, please speak up now and introduce yourself. All right, I think that's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. And since Carol's got to leave early, under public speaking, I'll ask Carol Conklin to give her a report.
Good morning. You hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So since January, anybody who was on the November ballot for a registrar has been sworn in. So it's been a busy time working with the new registrars and the new deputies, just overviewing the position, the projects coming up, what they need to know for education, certification, about their office, all that kind of good onboarding, just onboarding really. And all the registrars, not just the new ones, they're all responsible at this point of the year for the annual canvas function, which is part of winter list cleanup. The state sends them several projects, and the annual canvas is basically tracks the people who have moved within your town and moved out of town to clean up the voter list. And they take these lists from their list, their letters have to go out for the canvas by state statute by May 1st. The only exception to that is when you have a special election or a borough election in your town, which Old Saybrook does have borough. So the canvas happens after that to not accidentally disenfranchise anybody in that process. The other thing is I've had quite a few questions about budgeting from both registrars and CEOs. So possibly beneficial for everybody to hear about. One thing that repeatedly has come up is deputies. Deputies for the registrar are a necessity by state statute. So it is best to have some money allocated to the deputy function for multiple reasons. They need to be cross-trained in the event of an emergency. If you have a registrar who's going to be out for 3 weeks with a knee replacement or anything similar, they need to be able to come in and perform the job to some degree. Obviously, in a small town, it's hard for them to get up to speed and see everything with the limited volume that comes in until election time. But they do need some monies allocated because they are a state designated position and they are critical in emergencies, COVID, whatever happens, a death in the family of the registrar, anything like that. And the secondary piece to that is what's called an assistant registrar who basically in most budgets get lumped in with the poll workers. They're not, they need to be involved in the election, but they don't need to be part of the normal office staff budget. Today, there actually is a county meeting right after this where I'm headed for the registrars, and there's going to be a legislative update at that county meeting. What is on the docket for election changes, early voting changes. So I'll be able to report on that at our next meeting because that's happening right after this. And then lastly, what I wanted to mention is that East Hampton in our COG, I think he's on the line, but East Hampton just gotten a nice award from the Secretary of State's office. It's called the Democracy Cup. And 4 towns were chosen based on small, medium, large, extra large cities like towns.
Extra large.
And it's for who has the highest voter turnout in November. And East Hampton in our COG for a mid-sized town had the highest % voter turnout. And they had a visit from the Secretary of State's office and were given a nice award. And so they should be proud of that. The state does encourage for all of your elections, referendums to put it on your website, put it on, information in your libraries and get the voter turnout out there.
I know you're all
That's
jealous.
it. Yep.
Look at that bad boy.
That's all. That's what I have right now.
Amazing.
Any questions?
Sorry,
Very
Carol.
nice.
I told him to
Very
try.
nice,
I told him.
David. Yeah, very nice, David. Congratulations.
I think you're on there somewhere, Tony, in the past.
It's not a Stanley Cup,
past.
though.
Carolyn, anything else?
No. Any
Carol.
questions? Happy. Yeah.
Any
Hello?
questions for Carol? Thank you very much, Carol. Good report.
Thank you so much. Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Also, under public speaking, we do have our congressional staffers, and we also have our regional mobility manager if she wants to address the council, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Why don't we take first?
All right, Aaron, from Murphy's office, why don't you go ahead, and then Julia.
Good morning, everyone. So we've been keeping an eye on the movement still with federal freezes and funding things as they kind of roll out. It seems for the most part, most people have had normal access back to their funds, but the 2 bipartisan grants, the IRA and the IIJA, are the ones that we're really keeping a close eye on. But even like, other grants like USDA grants that help farmers, we've been really keeping a close eye on and make sure those are functioning as normal. We've been getting a lot of calls about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and talks in Congress about slashing those drastically. Senator Murphy's continue to be really vocal at the federal level to work to try and protect these funding mechanisms and the efforts for people in Connecticut, for nonprofits in Connecticut, municipalities, COGs, all those kinds of things. He did host a town hall a few weeks ago where he was able to talk to about over maybe 700 or so constituents about some of the things happening in Congress. It was a good conversation, a lot of great questions. We had a lot of federal employees from the executive branch that have either been furloughed, laid off, or fired that came in to talk. So we're also, I know Congressman Courtney's office is doing something pretty similar, that we're trying to track those people in Connecticut. It's a surprising amount of executive branch federal employees that are experiencing this now that live in Connecticut. So it's something that our office has been really prioritizing. We are coming up at the end of our term of the continuing resolution that was signed back in December. So that deadline is March 14th. There was a small push with the budget bill last night, which I believe those things are separate, but I'll let Julia get into that more, in which the House passed a budget bill that would basically shape the priorities of the new administration for the next 4 years. in that note, appropriations packages from the following year are still in the works. We don't know how Congress is going to either try and catapult those into a budget or if they're just going to slash them. So we are trying to prepare people for both scenarios. And in that note, we also don't know about what congressional directed spending will look like, if we will have that, if that will open up in March. If it does, what will that timeline look like? It'll likely be short and a very quick turnaround. But I'll make sure that our office is communicating those things effectively. And I guess in general, just stay engaged, reach out to our offices, ours, Congressman Courtney, Senator Blumenthal's. We're here to help. We're here to listen. We're finding out a lot of this information the same time you are, so we don't always have answers, but we encourage you to talk to us if you have questions. We are trying to track things as much as we can to prepare for worst case scenarios or current worst case scenarios. So just keep us posted, keep us in the loop. No question is a bad question. We understand there's a lot of chaos and confusion right now. And just on that note, I'm going to be out of the country from March 4th to 19th. So I'm working in our office to make sure that if congressional directed spending opens or a CR passes and all that stuff, that there is someone in our office sending out emails to you guys as well, so that you are getting up-to-date information for everything from the earmark process to current updates within our office. So I'll make sure there's a contact in my automatic reply so that you can directly reach out to someone like Ariel, our director of economic development, or Mike, our director of outreach. But I just want to make sure that's known, just in case you're trying to reach our office and you're just getting a bounce back from my email. So yeah, with that, I think that's all for me though.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Senator Blumenthal's office here, Sam?
I
Yes.
do
Hi.
you see Ellen? Oh, hey, Ellen. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Not
Morning.
much to add from what Aaron said. Just that, we are keeping our eye on things. If you get any messages about any funding from any of the federal agencies, please let us know. It's helpful for us to see what their message is and what kind of what everything says. But please keep us updated on anything. And hopefully we will know more, but we just don't know.
Okay, thank you. Is Representative Courtney's office?
Good morning. So, like Aaron said, the House of Representatives last night voted on a budget resolution that is HCON Res 14, which I have the full text of linked in the report that I sent to Elizabeth last night. This is not a budget bill. It is not an omnibus. It is basically a set of parameters that Congress agrees on for future funding levels, even beyond the next fiscal year. So it did pass. It passed 217 to 215, so very tight vote. The congressman did vote against it. I have linked his statement also in the report that kind of goes into why he chose to do so. Shorthand, there are big concerns about the funding levels set for programs like Medicaid and SNAP that just are not really feasible long term. Unfortunately, we have some parameter. I mean, it's only gone through one chamber, so we'll see. But should it go through the Senate as well, those are the parameters we have set, and so we will do the best we can to work within those. Additionally, one thing I wanted to flag is this year, Congress will be working on the 5-year tax package. Two of the congressman's big priorities for that are, like I said, protection of Medicaid and SNAP funding, and also restoration of the full SALT deduction, which I know is a big issue with towns. If there's anything else that you would like for us to make sure that we're tracking closely and prioritizing, please let me know, but that's going to be an ongoing process this year. The congressman did also host a telephone town hall on February 12th. There's a link to the full recording of that in my report. Hitting the funding freeze that both the senator's offices talked about. I have a Microsoft form that I'm trying to disseminate that if anyone is aware of any funding that they currently don't have access to, or have concerns, I would so appreciate if you would fill that out. We're just trying to, in a centralized way, keep track of that. at this point in time, and this could all change, we are not getting communication from the executive branch agencies. So this is the best way we have to kind of keep an eye on what's going on. So that would be super helpful. And then from an agricultural perspective, we actually have some really good things going on coming into the state from USDA. Applications are now being accepted at DOAG for Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Programs. That is a USDA funded program that Connecticut DOAG has done really excellent work to implement. And so if, you know, any ag stakeholders who are interested, I would highly recommend checking that out. In addition, the Specialty Crop Block Grant, also administered through DOAG, is accepting applications, as well as the Land Capital Market Access Program guidance has been released. These are all USDA programs that the state has taken the helm of. And then finally, 2 updates that I just wanted to flag of things I'm tracking in terms of grants. The Drug Free Communities Program, we have within the RiverCOG region 2 local prevention councils that are year 1 through 5 grantees that are preparing to apply for year 6 through 10 funding. The notice of funding was supposed to be posted on grants.gov on January 24th. It is now February 26th, and we have not seen it yet. We do not know the status of this. In terms of local prevention councils within the region, we are tracking for Lyme Youth Service Bureau and the town of East Hampton. We are trying to get clarity on that. We don't have that yet, but that is something that I am tracking. And also the Protect program, that notice of funding was pulled on February, I think 11th. They are reviewing the notice of funding, and any reopening or reposting will happen on grants.gov. But as of right now, if you were preparing an application for that program, that's a DOT program, that application it's not open for applications at the moment. I think that is it for me, but you know, happy to, if anybody has any questions, you can reach out outside of this. As both Ellen and Aaron said, you know, we are doing our best to understand things as they happen, but the situations are moving very quickly. So oftentimes, as soon as we kind of have a grasp on things, everything changes, and then we have to figure it out all over again. So thank you for your patience, but we you know, want to be helpful in any way we can.
Thank you very much, Julia. Any questions for our congressional office? Okay, thank you. Anyone else, Sam?
I don't know if Lori, if you had an update that you wanted to quickly make.
Thank you. Yesterday, I attended the CACT legislative breakfast, which stands for Connecticut Association for Community Transportation. Our own Joe Comerford is their chairman, and he's used his position to highlight our region, talk about all the great programs that he and you have brought to this community. It's often talked about at DOT and used as a pilot program or how to do things correctly. So that's exciting. I use the opportunity to hand out business cards and meet people that I haven't met before. More and more of you are reaching out to me to help the individuals with disabilities, seniors, and veterans find alternative transportation when what exists doesn't work for them. So please keep me in mind. I also partner with organizations such as Senior Resources. Allison has a lot of grants that helps me with transportation. She's someone that has highlighted transportation, and she's been a fabulous partner, and I'd like to offer her, since I'm on her board, to welcome the opportunity for her to come and speak to us sometime or to your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Sam?
I think that's it.
Okay. Sam, would you like to introduce our guest speaker, Kim O'Rourke?
Before we do that, let's add the item to the agenda.
I forgot. Yeah, okay. Okay, we need to add an item under 5, and it's going to be 5B, DOH Technical Assistance Grant. And I need a motion, and we'll add it as 5B and then move all the other ones down accordingly. So we'll end up with CDE, and document digitation would be F. So can I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, so we add 5B in, and okay, now we're all caught up. And
Yep.
now, Sam, if you don't mind introducing Kim O'Rourke.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Kim O'Rourke, many of you know her from her previous role at the city of Middletown. She surprised us all, moved on to a gas cylinder recycling, and she's here from the Cylinder Collective to address you about her work and her effort to recycle gas cylinders. So I'm going to allow Kim to present. Go ahead, Kim.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Let me see if I can get this up. Okay. Am I in the right? Is it correct?
Yes. I think you just go into presenter mode.
It's
or
not
present.
in presenter. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having us here today. We're very excited to talk about the new EPR cylinder program in Connecticut. I'm the new state program coordinator, and I'm here today with our executive director, Dave Keeling. He is also, some of you may have met him already. He is also the executive director of the Pressurized Cylinder Industry Association. So thank you for having us. The Cylinder Collective was formed as a result of EPR legislation passed in 2022. It's a nonprofit, industry-run stewardship organization focused on creating and supporting residential recycling programs for covered cylinders. We're responsible for the smaller cylinders, so those used for camping, for portable grilling, for do-it-yourself projects, handheld torches, and portable helium. So our goals are to work with the current waste collection systems to increase the options for proper disposal of these items at no cost to the resident, to reduce the impact on the environment, to reduce the burden to municipalities by assuming the financial cost and managing the logistics of collection and processing, and working with our partners to create a sustainable, cost-effective system of managing these cylinders. Now, we're in the very beginning stages of developing this program, so we're interested in feedback and ideas of how it will best work for your towns. So just to give you a brief timeline, the original legislation, or a reminder, some of you may remember this, the original legislation passed in 2022, additional amendments were passed in 2024. In 2023, the producers formed and incorporated the industry organizations and got to work drafting the stewardship plan in accordance with the law. And the plan was approved by DEEP in September of 2023, and now we're implementing the plan. Also in 2023, a pilot program was commenced at Hammonasset State Campground to collect and recycle the leftover propane camping cylinders. This camping pilot program was expanded to Rocky Neck in 2024. And in August of 2024, Dave, our executive director, was hired. So now in 2025, the state program coordinator was hired. That's me, 3 weeks in. And we're continuing to, this year we'll be continuing the pilot programs at the 2 state campgrounds this camping season. And we're expanding the types of cylinders that will be accepted there. We'll be hiring vendors for collection and processing the cylinders statewide. Similar to other EPR programs, we're looking to work with municipal partners to collect the cylinders at their transfer stations, at the household hazardous waste facilities and events. And we'll also be reaching out to other entities such as the MRFs, the solid waste facilities, and other public and private campgrounds and retail locations. So we're currently developing the statewide education and outreach campaign to teach people how to safely manage these materials, keep them out of the waste and recycling streams, and use the collection system that's being developed. Now, this program is set to begin October 1st, 2025. So here's a list of our participating producers. We have about 85 to 90% of the producers who sell cylinders in Connecticut signed up. Dave is continuing to educate producers on their responsibilities with this law. And starting in October 2025, they will no longer be able to sell in the state if they are not part of a stewardship organization. So here's a list of the acceptable cylinders in the Cylinder Collective program. Now note that there are currently 3 approved stewardship organizations for cylinders in Connecticut. It's the Cylinder Collective, which is us, P-GAIN, which is the Propane Gas Association of New England, and SodaStream. So P-GAIN is handling the 20-pound grill tanks. According to their plan, that they will be relying on the current exchange system that's available through retail stores, and also offer a collection program at transfer stations where you can collect them, call a 1-800 number, and they'll come out and pick them up. SodaStream is offering their current system of mail order return for their products. And then our program is covering the smaller cylinders. So for propane, helium, isobutane, and butane. It's ranging from the 4-ounce butane cylinder to just under the 20-pound propane cylinder. It's residential only. We're not covering industrial, commercial, or institutional customers. And it doesn't include oxygen, refrigerants, Dave, I never get this right. Thank you. Acetylene, hydrogen, ethylene, foam adhesives, or fire extinguishers. So our collection system will be designed to promote convenience and access like other EPR programs. We'll be partnering with transfer stations and HHW facilities and events, as well as campgrounds, retailers, possibly local hardware stores, and current propane dealers. The collection sites must be in compliance with their permit regulations and have staff to monitor the collections. Per DEEP's municipal transfer station general permit, there must be fencing around the cylinders, and there must be no charge to residents as an EPR material. So the Cylinder Collective will be providing storage containers and signage specific to the program, coordinate and pay for the collection and processing of the materials, and will be providing outreach materials. And we're looking to partner with as many transfer stations as possible to make it convenient for residents and more economical than HHWs. As we all know, hazardous waste collections are very, very expensive, and it's no different for cylinders collecting them through that system. Our education and outreach will focus on diverting cylinders away from the trash and recycling streams to the specific collection sites. And this will be done through promotion at the participating campgrounds, promotion on our website, which will include educational information as well as a searchable location tool to find the collection sites, and a municipal toolkit, which will include website and printed materials, messaging, graphics, brochures. We're open to ideas to what your town will need to help get the message out. So again, we're in the beginning stages of this. Love to hear your ideas. We do have the Cylinder Collector is responsible for tracking materials and measuring performance. And this is a list of some of the data that we will be collecting. An annual report must be submitted to DEEP along with periodic audits. And then in summary, as a takeaway for today, this program is starting in October 2025. We're interested in working with municipal transfer stations, household hazardous waste events and facilities as collection sites. We'll be reaching out. If you're interested, please feel free to reach out to us. I will be reaching out to individual communities to talk about their transfer stations. It's no cost to residents like other EPR materials, and no cost to the municipalities. And the process is early. We are early in the process. So if you have ideas, if you have thoughts on this, now's a good time to tell us, so that as we develop it, as we work on the logistics and the outreach, we can design it so that it will work for our communities. And that's our contact information. Please feel free to reach out. And Dave is with me here to help answer any questions.
Any questions for Kim or Dave?
So, thank you, Kim and Dave. Oh, go ahead.
Will you provide us with this presentation?
Yes,
All
I'll
right.
send it over to Sam and he can share it.
Yep.
Thank you, and congratulations, Kim, in your new role. You're going to be perfect.
Thank you very much.
Kim, I have one question. Are you taking into consideration all pressurized cylinders?
So the
excuse me.
slide.
I noticed we're having a problem. We've been collecting whipped cream.
Yes, I talked to Tony yesterday. Yeah, and actually that is not part of our program. I actually was going to call him today. And we are going to be talking about it further. We have a meeting on Monday, but that is not part of our program. I am reaching out to see if any other scrap metal dealers would accept that. He did tell me the one that you're working with will not.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dave has anything to add on that one.
I think if we're talking about the consumer whipped cream that comes out of an aerosol can, that is classified as aerosol product. And if empty, it should be able to go in your recycling program, but you got to check locally on that. I spent about 29 years working on aerosol can recycling. So
yeah, the problem is it's not empty. It's the gas is gone, but
there's still product left in it.
Yeah. And you know what's happened to the gas.
Yeah. Understood.
I have a question for Kim. What about carbon monoxide, the small little things for seltzer and other things, those types of cylinders?
I don't believe we take those. Is that correct, Dave?
That actually is what SodaStream's about, but they are, I believe, only taking their branded devices. Now, the other thing to mention is that because there's no stop valve in those, once you start using it, it dispenses. If you take it out, it'll dispense to atmosphere. So it's empty. There's no pressure left. They technically could be recycled locally, but you'll have to check with a local scrap dealer or your recycling program. But those are not covered in our collection program.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? We'd appreciate it if you would get that to Sam, Kim, and thank you very much. Very informative.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Approval
of the minutes.
Item 4, approval of the minutes from January 22nd. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Carol.
Second.
And a second, Dave. Okay. Any corrections?
I do have one correction. In section 6D, where it talks about the GIS digital parcel, it uses the word camera. I think it should state CAMA instead.
Yeah.
So that's the only correction I have.
Thank you. We'll make that correction. Yeah, it should be CAMA.
Anyone else? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to our tip amendments. Rob, are you here?
Yep.
Okay, without objection, I will take B1, 2, and 3 first, Rob.
Okay, sure. Let's see here. I will go through, just give a brief description and then go through each line item. Let's see here. This is project 27. It says 141, but that's a typo. It should read 131. This is basically adding a new project to the 25 tip. The preliminary design phase is authorized in the 24 tip. These 3 phases are authorized in the 24 tip as FYI, but or the 21 tip, but they're moving to the new tip. So that's why it's considered a new project. So we just, let's see here. This is a project in, it's a 2019 TA solicitation, transportation alternatives from the last round of the federal bill. So, I mean, it has taken a while to get these projects into the tip and to begin, but they are finally here. The first is in Clinton, Route 1. It's 27-131 TAP New Haven funding, exempt from air quality modeling. This is a sidewalk extension. Let's see here. It's on Route 1 between West Main and John Street. There's a 80/20 federal local, and it's listed as a new project. There's 3 line items. The first is a final design phase in 2025 for 125,000. The second is a right-of-way phase in 25 for 100,000, and the third is a construction phase in 2027 for 1.5 million.
Can I get a motion to approve B1, 2, and 3?
So moved.
Motion second. Any questions? Seeing no questions on B1, 2, and 3, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion's approved. Okay, without objection, I'll take 4 through 8. Rob, go ahead, please.
Yep, sure. This is again from the 2019 Transportation Alternatives Program solicitation. Finally getting into the tip, similar to the Clinton project. In FY24 is the preliminary design phase in the old tip. This moves the FYI phases from the old tip into the new tip. There are the 5, let's see here. This is again on Route 1 between Goodspeed and Old Forge Road. It's primarily a sidewalk job, but it does include a little more, such as retaining wall replacements, some guardrail, a little drainage adjustments and things like that. There are, like we said, 5 line items. They read Westbrook Route 1, project number 154-130, TAP New Haven funding, exempt from air quality modeling. 80/20 federal state match again and listed as new projects. The first phase is a final design phase in 26 for 200,000. The second line item is a right-of-way phase in 26 for 100,000. The third line item's a construction phase AC conversion in 27 for 0. The fourth is a construction phase in 2027 for 230,000. And the fifth line is a construction phase in 2028 for 1.2 million.
Rob, excuse me, Tony, can you clarify, Rob, it's an 80/20, it's a local split, not a state split, right?
Yes, the TA program's federal and local, not federal and state.
I'm just making sure I didn't mishear you.
Yep.
Okay, any additional questions? Seeing none, all in favor, excuse me, get a motion.
I'll move
Motion,
approval,
Dave.
Tony.
Second. Second. John. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Without objection, I'll take 4, 9 through 13, Rob.
Sure. This is let's see, project 82-318, which is the signal removal on Route 9 in Middletown. This is basically just a change of the existing project. We're adding a right-of-way phase and a AC entry in FYI, and then some of the years just little price increases and a minor price decrease just for funding. This is basically because the project is moving through preliminary design. There's basically some price increases with increased costs of structures and the Route 99 roundabouts and the Silver Street work from the Route 9 ramp. So those are pretty much the main reasons. Again, there are 5 line items. It's Middletown, Route 9, Project 82318, NHPP, which is a National Highway Performance Program. They are in the air quality model. That's removal of traffic signals on Route 9. The first, let's see here, it's 8020 federal state, and they're all considered new phases or revisions. The first line item is the new right-of-way phase in 25 for 680,000. The second line item is a construction phase in 2026 with a decrease in the federal estimate decrease from 13 million. The third line item is construction phase in 27. It's a increase of the estimate from 5 million. The next is construction phase in 2028, which is an increase of the cost estimate from 14 million. And the final line item is new. It's the FYI category. It's a new AC entry or AC conversion for 57.5 million.
Okay, I know the chamber's taking the lead and has been having meetings on this, but Middletown and Portland, okay with this, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve. Motion, Dave. Second.
Second.
Bob. Any further questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Rob, if you would please, item 14.
Okay, this is another existing tip project, just basically a cost increase. This was a project to basically put in new signs and guidance for service plazas on a statewide. Basically new signing practices, basically so drivers kind of know where they are, where the service plazas are, and basically the approaches to the service plazas similar to other states. This is a single line item. It's a statewide project. It's on I-95 and 395. It's project 170-3640. NHPP, again, National Highway Performance Program funding. Exempt from air quality modeling. It's service plaza mainline sign and sign support replacement. Construction phase in 2025 for 6.7 million, which is an increase from 3.75.
Any questions for Rob? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, Dave. Second.
Seconded.
Bob, thank you. Any further questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Without objection, I'll take for 15 through 17. Rob?
Yep, sure. These are all ETD projects. They're all new projects. They all basically are very similar. They basically take the FY24 5307 carryover and move them into 25 for the new tip from the old tip. The first, let's see here, is Middletown, Old Saybrook, Estuary TD. It's project number 478, 2024 CN, 5307 funding, exempt from air quality modeling. This one is for facility improvements, construction phase in 2025 for 250,000, 80-20 federal state split. The second is, let's see here, 478, 2024 EQ. This is administrative capital miscellaneous support FY24 moving into FY25, 935,000. And the final line item is 478 2024 PA. This is moving the 24 funding to 25 for the replacement of 4 small buses for 400,000.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions for Rob? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Dave. Second.
Second.
Mike. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it. Good report. 4C WHB presentation, Phil Goff.
Yeah. So, Phil, are you here? And do you have? All right. Let me make you a co-host. Just 1 second, and I'll introduce Phil. So Rob and Phil have been the project managers for our study of the Airline Trail to Farmington Canal Connector Study, which we renamed the Central Connecticut Loop Study, looking at how to extend the Airline Trail through Portland, over the Connecticut River into Middletown, connecting up to Meriden, and eventually over to the Farmington Canal Trail in Cheshire. This project we're just wrapping up a 30-day public comment period, and Phil is here to give you an overview of the draft plan, and we'll be asking for your adoption. So Phil, I don't know, Rob, do you have anything to add?
Nope. We're just after we go through the presentation, we did send out a resolution with the agenda adopting the plan. There are a few things we may clean it up a little bit, and include a public comment section and a few minor edits, but for the most part, I don't foresee any significant changes.
Yeah, last week we did talk to Phil. A small addition is we do have a little bit of extra money left. We're going to create a next steps implementation appendix to this document. So we'll clearly have next steps for moving this project forward, and then in addition to the cleaning up the document and making it final. So with that, I'll turn it over to Phil Goff.
Great, thanks, Sam. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Looks good.
Okay, great. Well, I'll jump right in. I've got about a 7 or 8 minute presentation. There's a bunch of slides, but I'll go through them quickly. And this has just been a terrific project. It's been great to work with Sam and Rob and others, and certainly want to acknowledge the good work that the steering committee did on the project. There was a good number of people. I won't go through all the different names, but certainly want to acknowledge State Senator Lesser and the work that he and his staff have done, not just to contribute to the steering committee, but also to provide some funding for this planning study. And we had folks representing different communities and COGs and advocates in the area, and they did some great work and really helped to inform the recommendations and the analysis work throughout the process. Also helping to inform, of course, the work that we did was the outreach to the public, both in person and online. We did meet with that steering committee I mentioned to you earlier on a bi-monthly basis. So 7 or 8 times we met with them. We had stakeholder meetings, community events, pretty much exclusively in Middletown. But we got good turnout, both from the pop-up and from the couple of public meetings, where we got a good, 50 people at one public meeting and about 40 on the next one. We did have a project webpage as well to keep people informed of all the work that we were doing. So just so everyone fully understands what this is the study was a piece of the larger Central Connecticut Loop Trail, which is a 111-mile loop that does go up to Hartford, and does encapsulate a number of existing trails, And there are a number of gaps also that are to be studied. And this was the kind of key gap within the RiverCOG region in Portland and Middletown. That was really the focus of our study. So we were, by contract, we are kind of looking at the connection from the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail to the current terminus of the airline trail in Portland. But a lot of the routing in Meriden and Cheshire has already been worked on. So really our core study area, what we called it, is the 11.5-mile stretch between the town line, the Meriden, Middletown town line, and the end of the airline trail. So that's really the focus of our work. As we started and received input from the steering committee and the public and others, we looked at a number of different routes. There were some areas where there was really kind of only one, a relatively simple option that sort of remained, but in other areas we had sort of multiple alternatives and options that we really needed to look at and assess and study before we were able to come up with a preferred alignment. We developed evaluation criteria to look at the various alternatives. Part of this was informed by the goals of the project, input from the steering committee or the technical advisory committee, same thing. And then the community input we received. This is just an example of the input to help us with the weighting of the actual evaluation criteria from the first public meeting. So we had 9 different criteria that we used to evaluate all the various options, and we were able to score them, and that helped to inform the selection. So the preferred alignment is through Portland and Middletown. Again, the town line to the left between Middletown and Meriden, and then the end of the airline trail on the right. So I know it's color-coded, it's pretty small, but I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the kind of key features here from end to end. And really, it's that kind of central portion of Middletown. Just go back for a second. That this area kind of in here between the high school and the Aragoni Bridge, which is where we probably spent the most time looking at the various alternatives and evaluating them. Crossing the RiverCOG River and the adjacent wetlands was certainly one of the main challenges here. So the preferred alignment really incorporates segments of La Rosa Lane near the high school and a segment of Newfield Street. And then through the current redevelopment project or new development project, residential project along Newfield Street, and then connecting to North Main. So just to kind of focus in a little bit more. So this was really the most challenging and most expensive segment of the trail, but it's going to probably be the most wonderful when it is ultimately approved. A portion of it does go through the development project, as I mentioned, and then running alongside the existing state-owned rail line with a boardwalk and bridge structure that may look something like that. So this is looking south towards downtown Middletown. The view from up here looking south towards Johnson Street and North Main.
What do I do?
So as that route sort of passes to the Aragoni Bridge from the RiverCOG River crossing, this gives you a sense of what the character of the trail, at least in the most urban part of the alignment, may look like. The city of Middletown is interested in a segment like this in narrowing the roadway, restricting parking to one side, and putting in a path along one side of North Main Street. So it's just kind of an example of just one segment of what the path looks like, at least in this portion of Middletown, and then the connection to the Aragoni Bridge. The crossing over to Portland along the Aragoni Bridge, we looked at various ways to perhaps improve it, but it is kind of what it is. The sidewalks on the Aragoni Bridge work reasonably well for pedestrian and bike traffic. What the recommendation would be is that there be one-way bicycle traffic on those sidewalks, two-way foot traffic, but one-way bicycle traffic, just to help channelize bicycles onto one side of the bridge or the other. And we made sure that our plans kind of accommodated bikes in the various directions that cyclists would need to go to access either the north or the south sidewalk of the Ergoling Bridge. Coming into Portland, we looked at a few options in the downtown Portland area. Of the two options, we kind of stuck with both a short-term and a longer-term option. The reason we sort of had to divide it into those kind of two short and long-term options is there certainly was in both the evaluation and the comments we received an interest in a trail along the existing rail line, but it is still active. So in the longer term, we do hope that perhaps that might transition into a trail configuration that would connect then to the east side of the Aragoni Bridge. So again, that's the long-term recommendation. The short-term recommendation then is to make a link along North Main Street to Freestone Ave in order to access the former airline rail line, or at least a portion of it that is yet to be developed before you get to the formal airline trail. So part of the recommendations, we kind of studied this, relatively short segment of North Main Street, which is very busy with traffic. So we looked at different ways to accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists. Obviously, this will take a lot of coordination with Connecticut DOT, but looking at the roadway widths and the width of the lanes, we think we can accommodate, or we recommend accommodating bicycles in one direction with a bicycle lane on the west side, and then with a shared use path on the east side. And both of those connect kind of somewhat seamlessly onto the sidewalk system, the directional sidewalk system on the Aragoni Bridge. We looked at cost estimates for the entire routing. We know that that's obviously an important part of a feasibility study such as this. This was as I mentioned before, 11.5-mile route from the Meriden line to the end of the airline trail. The total was 23 million, so that puts it at about 2 million a mile, which is pretty much in line with a lot of costs of development of trails, especially when you have kind of complex mix of different urban and rural suburban kind of conditions. So we did put costs on the various segments of the trail, and those segments we also looked at and did a phasing plan as well. So there's real understanding for RiverCOG and the city of Middletown and town of Portland, roughly what phase some of these might get plugged into and where fundraising in the initial stage should be kind of directed to with regards to the full alignment. So that's the plan and the recommendations in a nutshell, and I'm happy to go back to any of the slides and take some additional questions and comments. Thank you.
Any questions?
So just a quick question. So Phil, I just inherited the position here in Portland, and we have a bunch of excited people about the project. We're working on getting a clear path from where we are right now down to the bridge. I'd love to talk to you more about it after this or whatever, so I want to connect with you. But what can we do over the next couple months to enhance or help with you guys?
Well, I think starting with that conversation, as you mentioned, I think is a good one. I need to put some thoughts more specifically as we're finalizing what Sam had mentioned before, a more detailed implementation plan. And in terms of the phasing plan, which was the very last slide, which I'll just kind of bring back. The first recommended phases in terms of prioritization is on the Middletown side, but we'll definitely work with you and move forward with things that can be done, working with the Airline Trail Committee, who I know you're new, but you're probably familiar with them, and seeing what we can do to help them extend the efforts along the former rail corridor itself, and then changes that could be made within the downtown area on Freestone Ave, and getting that conversation started with Connecticut DOT for that segment of Main Street, I think will be a critical step for the town as well.
That's good. We got a lot of enthusiasm in town for this.
Yeah,
so this
that's
is
great to hear. Great to hear.
So Phil, I got a couple. So you're heading towards Middletown High School, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. So here's Middletown High School. right now there's just a standard 5-foot sidewalk along, I think, the south side of La Rosa Lane. So the recommendations we have is to widen that to 8 to 10 feet, ideally 10.
So
In order to
you're
provide
not
access.
following the old trolley line.
No, not specifically. In terms of the closest connection to La Rosa Lane would to the high school would be a path along the side of the roadway, not on the old trolley alignment.
Okay. And part of the Route 9, excuse me, project is Main Street Cromwell. They're supposed to be bringing a pedestrian bicycle towards Middletown, and then using the in between the railroad line and Route 9 down to the Mattabasset. This doesn't include bringing Cromwell into the loop here?
Not formally. We have representative from Cromwell on the committee, on the steering committee, and they're sort of part of the discussions. And, we did have conversations about, ultimately improvements that could be made, but it isn't part of the formal preferred alignment recommendations.
Okay, because the biggest challenge is, again, getting across the Mattabasset for that section.
For sure. Yeah.
As well as our railroad line is active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will just add that unlike some other planning projects we participate in, we actually do have some money for future phases for this project. The city of Middletown should have about $460,000 to put towards potentially this initial phase. And RiverCOG was also got bonding for $2 million. And what we're hoping for is to use that $2 million as a non-federal match to a future build grant from USDOT. So maybe leveraging that $2 million into a $10 million project. Typically, federal projects are 80-20, and that would be our goal. I've talked to Laura Francis over at South Central, and they have done the plan for Meriden. And we're trying to think of, could we do a multi-town proposal where we have improvements in Portland and Middletown and in Meriden, and if that potentially could make for a better application, maybe for next year. So we are going to be continuing working on that, and also I think there needs to be some consideration of, if you were able to bring the trail down that Route 9 corridor, how you would connect into the Aragoni Bridge going east, but also going west towards the Middletown High School.
I agree. And as far as Cromwell, we'd like to be considered somehow connecting into the trail.
Definitely.
All right. Any other questions for Phil?
I have one, please.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned, well, I had two questions, and they both deal with the crossing of the Coginchaug River area. You showed the slide with the potential raised boardwalk. Question one is, have you already engaged with DEEP to understand what permits are going to be required for the bridge and the crossing? And two, you said $2 million per mile on an average. Do you have a unique cost estimate yet for the raised boardwalk area that crosses the Coginchaug?
I'd say yes to both questions is the short answer, James. We met on 2 occasions with Connecticut DEEP. The first one was more general when we were earlier on and looking at various alternatives for crossing the Coginchaug and the adjacent floodplain. And then when we were very close to kind of finalizing the preferred alignment, we met with them again in a more detailed conversation, and they outlined the permitting process and what their expectations would be moving forward to make what you're seeing here more of a reality. So that's definitely in process. When it comes to then the cost estimate, short answer there is yes. You can see this is the segment here. The cost estimate for the segment that basically along that connects the west end of the Aragoni along North Main Street, crossing the river, the boardwalk, and then the kind of path through the development parcel, which it would be not that expensive because part of it is incorporated into the plans right now. So that's 7.7 million. And I think it was, in the 5 million range, just the bridge and the boardwalk itself there. So it is the, single priciest element along the route. But clearly would be a, quite a spectacular facility and would, I think, draw a lot of trail users.
Excellent, thanks. And if you have, by any chance, the specific listed, the criteria that Deep talked with you about in that second meeting, if there'd be a way to get a copy of any of that, your notes from that discussion, I'd be very grateful. We're considering looking at a crossing across the Coginchog in our own town down the years a ways, and we'll be engaging Deep with regard to that.
Okay, and which town are you with?
Middlefield.
You're in Middlefield. Okay, great. Yeah, I think we can get that to you.
Yeah, you can send it to Sam. You can send it to Sam or Tony, and they can give me. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none or hearing none, in your packet, there is the resolution. What I'd like to do is this all correct now, Sam, the resolution as it stands?
I think so, yes.
Sam, this is okay?
Yeah, it's correct.
One in the packet?
Yeah.
Okay, so the resolution's in your packet, and what I'd like is a motion and a second to approve the resolution for Rob to sign. So, any discussion? Without seeing any, I'll take a motion to approve the resolution in the packet.
So moved.
Second.
Dave, can I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second, Eric. Any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Phil. Very good presentation.
Thank you. Great seeing you all.
All right, moving on. Other transportation issues, Rob?
Yeah, just a few other updates. FTA 5310 applications are due on April 1st. That's a FTA program that's been around since probably the 70s. It's for capital and operating to improve mobility for seniors and people with disabilities. I know Joe applies typically for some funding. Mobility management's under that, as well as lift-equipped vehicles for senior centers. So those are a few of the items. The applications need to go to both DOT and the COGs. Next is 536 reporting. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. That has also been around for years and years. Basically, a long time ago, DOT would ask the towns for the information. It's basically highway expenditures in the towns. They weren't getting a lot of responses. They took it in-house, and now they're trying to get out to the towns again to get better data. It's basically a federal requirement. It's a biannual report. It's pretty much a 1 or 2 page spreadsheet, similar to the Town Aid Road Program reporting that'll go out roughly every 2 years. So expect someone from DOT to be reaching out about that in the future. I'm not sure. They're probably going to reach out to CEOs first, and then that might have to be distributed to Public Works or Finance or whoever. But if you have questions, you can contact either them or myself. And finally, the MPO certification review is coming up. That's for the New Haven TMA. The in-person meeting is Tuesday for SCROG and Thursday for us. You might recall at the last MPO meeting, Jennifer from Federal Highway did a brief presentation. So we'll do that next week. And usually it takes about 2 months or so for them to get their draft report out for our review. And we'll go from there.
Okay, no action on any of these items at this time, right, Rob?
Nope.
Okay, any questions for Rob? Thank you very much, Rob. Good job and good report. Transit District, Brendan or Joe? Are either one here, Sam?
I'm here.
Joe is here.
Okay, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Tony. So first, I want to let you know we'll be having some hearings the next month for some more implementing some more items from our regional bus study. One is to change all of our deviated routes to fixed routes. And then also we got some funding to add new service, well, extend service, our route from Middletown to Old Saybrook. Middletown to Old Saybrook. We got funding to run that on Saturdays. So but we have to do a hearing for new service as well. And also then just making some adjustments to the routes that we made massive changes to back in October of 23 based on the study, and just doing some tweaks based on the performance of those routes so far. So we'll be having one on the shoreline. It's in Clinton, the shoreline one, and one in Middletown. Okay, cover a whole area. And we'll have that up on our website very shortly. Brendan's working on that now. It started as a very active legislative session for our transit agencies, but it looks like just a few things are really moving forward. One, that has a hearing today would remove the flat funding that was put in place back in 2022. So we are obviously very supportive of that change. That looks like that's in the DOT bill, so it looks like that should pass. As long as, what the final language is, we don't know. There was also a bill to make it free fares for students through up to grade 12, veterans, and people who are low income. Our guess is that's probably about half of our ridership statewide. So you're probably talking about $20 million revenue loss. And the bill has no funding in it. And it actually says it would take it from existing DOT budget. That seems to actually have a lot of support. So we're definitely closely watching that. We did submit testimony expressing our concerns about the fact that there's no funding with it. And our other concern is that if the state were to want to invest $20 million, we know from our customers that they would much rather see service enhancements than just free rides. Because our point is the biggest barrier to people, our fare is $1.75, and not to say that there's not a challenge for some people. For most people, the much bigger barrier is frequency of service, service span, that it doesn't run late enough or early enough in the morning or on Sunday, and service area. That's a far bigger barrier than fare for most people. So we don't think that if your goal is to get people to jobs, that the best way to do that is by giving free fares. Also, we'll be sending out our municipal grant letters to all the 2 towns here participate in our municipal grant program. And one thing we'll be doing, we'll be launching it next month, is extending the Encompass program that M7 has been running in the Hartford and New Haven areas to our region. They're going to start with Clinton, Old Saybrook, and Westbrook. And seniors and people with disabilities will be able to book a taxi trip up to 8 miles for $5. And anything over that's $2.90 a mile. So we'll be using municipal grant funds for that. We're going to eventually expand it to all the towns that assign their municipal grant funds to us over the next year. So we're excited to get that started. And that's all we have going on at the moment.
I have a question, Joe. Not that I don't sympathize with the 3 groups that you outlined in that bill. Pray tell, does it say how you're supposed to make up the loss?
It says from the existing state DOT budget. So it would be service cuts. If there's no money, If there's no new money, the only way to make up for it is to reduce expenses, right? So that was part of my testimony too, is that the way the bill is written today, you are talking service cuts.
Sam, would it be appropriate if the consensus is to submit something with our concerns? I mean, I would hate to see cuts. Again, not that I don't, certain individuals within those three groups, but I mean, I'd hate to see $20 million. I mean, I don't know how that would be made up without making cuts.
Exactly.
I think this isn't. Yeah, this is in line with the previous testimony I submitted regarding the veterans tax abatement. Is that it's not that we don't want to give veterans more. It's just fiscally, it's just not feasible. And also, I think the other issue here is that like the veterans tax abatement, this isn't means tested. It's not that they can't afford necessarily to pay the bus fare. They'll just won't have to. So I think I'll point that out as well. That these are you want to give benefits to people who serve our country, but this is going to be particularly in our region, which is served by a transit district, that where the towns contribute to the operating budget. The towns will be faced with potential dues increases to cover losses that the state won't make up. So the towns will have a pony in this because Joe will come to your representatives and say either we cut the service or we raise the municipal dues, and so I'll happily submit testimony on that.
And just so everyone knows, the department also submitted testimony opposing the bill. So the department, it's something driven by the legislature. It's not driven by the executive branch. And if, in fact, the governor's budget increases fares. So.
Yeah, Joe, do you have the bill number?
Yes, I will send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So without objection, the consensus is we'd send some language.
Yep, I will write that testimony.
The problem with even that tax bill, hopefully they'll straighten it out at least to 100%. But the bottom line is, again, they're not even taking into consideration, nor do they care, by the way, what the veteran is making, or what the 100. Listen, I have all the sympathy in the world regarding veterans that duly should receive some, but some. I mean, I think I said this before, and I know a situation where it went from 60% to 100%, and the person's still on the job. I'm sorry, I have a problem with that personally, but that's me personally. So
yeah,
I feel if there's no objections, then we'll go forward with that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Joe. Any questions for Joe? All right, thanks, Joe. Moving on to COG business, natural hazardous mitigation. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, this will be Margot.
Yeah, Margot.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. First off, I'd like to let you know that we did receive our contract from Demis for our review. That we received our grant, our FEMA grant, to complete the update to the natural hazard mitigation plan. And you received a memo concerning the selection of our consultant for the update to our plan. We had 2 submittals. The selection committee consisted of 3 municipal planners from Middletown, East Haddam, and Portland, and RiverCOG staff. The selection committee unanimously selected Dewberry Engineers for the project. The regional planning team will meet 3 times throughout the process, and that includes, the regional planning team includes all of you, unless you designate someone else to take your place. They'll meet 3 times throughout the process, and each town will have 2 municipal meetings with the consultant, municipal staff, and community representatives to review your projects from the last plan and additions that need to be included in the update. So just a little bit on what the requirements of the committee is. So please let us know who your regional committee member will be, along with their contact information, if it will not be you. And because we have your contact information already. And then we had a suggested motion on the memo, which is changed a little bit because we did receive the contract from Demis. So the suggested motion is to authorize RiverCOG Chair or RiverCOG Executive Director to enter into agreement with Dewberry for the Regional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan 2026 update, dependent on receipt of funding from FEMA, and to authorize RiverCOG Executive Director to enter into agreement with Demis for the Natural Hazard Mitigation Planning Grant.
Thank you, Mara. Any questions from Margot?
I just have a few
All right,
questions. Sorry, quickly.
Go ahead.
So I see the amount that each town would be billed, which is $4,750. I'm just wondering when and how that will be billed, just so that we can plan for that.
So Paul is not on today, I don't think, but last time we billed it, I believe, all at once at the beginning of the project.
So just for budget planning, are we thinking this fiscal year or next?
Let's see, you put it in your budget for next fiscal year. So I suppose it would be at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Yeah, we can wait till July 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have how much that is for each town?
Yeah, $4,750
for each town.
Yeah, each participating town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Margot, why don't we send out that notice again to all the CEOs just to remind them?
Okay.
Yeah, because that's going to be important. Everybody's preparing their budgets right now.
Yeah, I think we back in the fall, everyone committed to putting that in their budget at this time, for this next fiscal year. We prepared everybody for
Yeah,
that.
but
So,
send it out today as soon as you can, please.
okay, will do.
All right, any questions from Margot? All right, in your packet, as well as Margot mentioned it, there is a suggested motion. I would take a motion regarding that.
I will make the motion that Margot read during this meeting because she noted that there was a change from the packet.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Dave. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Margot. All right, 5B is the one we added with regards to the DOH Technical Assistant Grant, and I believe that's Elizabeth, Sam?
Oh, no, that's going to be Megan.
Megan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not a problem.
Good morning,
Megan?
everybody.
Hi,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Hopefully, I have some good news for everybody. So, the Regional Housing Committee requested funding from Technical Assistance Program through the Connecticut Department of Housing for a regional program to support public engagement and education on housing planning and affordable housing. And we did this based on a survey of our housing committee members showing that public engagement and education was the #1 need across all of our towns. We were recently notified that we were approved for funding for this project in the amount of $87,000. And through the program, we would plan to provide educational training modules for municipal commissions, a virtual resource library that everybody can use, as well as public engagement and outreach assistance from us to municipalities directly by request. There's definitely enthusiasm for this project through DOH. They're hoping that our efforts here can serve as a model for the rest of the state, which I think is where we want to be in this conversation. So we're hoping that we can get started on this, get through the scoping and contracting quickly and get started in May. To that end, today we're looking for a motion to authorize the executive director to enter into the contract with Department of Housing for the technical assistance funding in the amount of $87,000.
Thank you, Megan. Congratulations on that. Any questions for Megan? All right, as requested, Megan is looking for a motion as stated. Can I get a motion?
I'll second Carl's motion.
I didn't see that. Thanks, Carl. Dave seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Eversource Energized Community Partnership, Janice.
Let's have agendas for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Back up. Legislative update, Sam.
It's been a very busy year up in Hartford. As everyone knows, there's been lots of interesting bills and lots of bills that need some common sense or correction. Today, Revenue, Finance, and Bonding is hearing two bills which I submitted testimony on. The first bill would create a state property tax that would be progressive in nature and would really be a mansion tax. But the way that it was written, it wasn't really just for mansions. It was for any residential property that was like valued over $1 million. Well, I pointed out that you're now going to tax apartment complexes at a higher rate than you do, single family houses. And that's gonna increase the tax burden on the landlords who are going to increase the rents. So you're unintended consequences here. But I pushed back in opposition to the bill, specifically because the property tax is the only revenue source that the towns have. And if the state gets in the business, it will crowd out the towns. And I point out that if there's a tax lien, I guarantee you the state would come first. And so I point that all out. I said, the state has income tax, sales tax, corporate tax, property transfer tax, butt out. I did raise some ideas that if they wanted to enable a progressive property tax, sure, they could do that for the towns to use. Or if they wanted to have differential tax rates for second homes or Airbnbs or something, that could be something to be considered. But overall, oppose that. And the second item, which at first sounds like a good idea, but is not well thought out, is there's a $50,000. There's a bill that would create a $50,000 homestead exemption on owner-occupied single-family homes. I point out that why are you limiting it only to single family homes? Couldn't it be also for condos or someone lives in a co-op owner or whatever? And then, but once again, it will shift the tax burden in very different ways in very different towns. In New Canaan, a $50,000 exemption means nothing, and the tax burden really probably won't change. Whereas in a city like Waterbury, where a lot of houses have a much lower value, a $50,000 exemption would shift a lot of the tax burden onto whatever remaining commercial and industrial properties in that city. So I cautioned them on that and said you really need to study the impacts. Overall, the $50,000 exemption would on average raise mill rates by 11% statewide. But the difference from town to town is going to be huge depending on what your grand list looks like and what your mill rate looks like, and who ends up paying. And also I point out that that small landlords like owner occupied two-family houses or triple deckers in some of our cities wouldn't get the homestead exemption. Yet they are the ones who probably provide a good chunk of our naturally occurring affordable housing. So I pointed out all the defects in that. So I thought that was an interesting bill, and it's being heard today. So if you want to, I can put the bill numbers in the chat if people are interested in submitting as well. There's a number of housing bills of interest. Housing is meeting tomorrow. And some of the ideas are interesting, but maybe not as well thought out. And some of them are zombies from previous sessions that have come back. One example is an old desegregated Connecticut bill that would require a minimum housing density of 15 units per acre within a half mile of a train station, regardless of whether you could walk to the train station or not. And it would allow that development by right. So the municipality they don't have to follow any plan. So for example, we're doing transit-oriented development plans for 3 of our towns, Clinton, Westbrook, and Old Saybrook. Well, you have a plan on the books, but they don't have to follow it under this bill. It's like, where are you going? Like you require, so I push, we're going to be pushing back against what we did on that bill. We will, and there's some other ones as well. And overall, one of my tactics in particularly for housing is that if you read our plan of the statutes about the municipal plan of conservation development that every municipality is required to do every 10 years, all the stuff they're talking about is in there. Transit-oriented development is in there. Places where your town can accommodate more density, affordable housing, and but the reality is that the statute doesn't require that the zoning commission take up the newly adopted plan and update their zoning regulations to be in conformity. And I am advocating that before Hartford starts telling towns what their zoning should be, that I would much rather towns, go through the existing commissions and process that they have and come up with solutions that work for their towns and do that themselves, than present that as an alternative, than having Hartford come up with a one-size-fits-all zoning bill, which it will never have enough provisions for all the 169 cities and towns because everyone's going to be different. So I'm advocating let's use the existing statute and take that seriously before we add new statutes that sort of replicate existing provisions. So any bills of interest to members that you want to talk about, or anything else? I will be getting on the bill we previously talked about the bus fare.
Yeah, how about we recommend that they take a year off in legislation?
Yeah, and sometimes it's interesting. It's like, sometimes you submit, what you think should be non-controversial, corrections to bills, and like no one reads it or takes it on. But other times, actually, sometimes listen. So on Friday, there was a hearing on the new state plan of conservation and development, and Frank DeFelice, the chair of the regional planning committee, and I both spoke at that hearing, and we had suggested that they change the state plan from a 5-year plan to a 10-year plan, just like our regional and municipal plans. And one of the reasons is because the General Assembly hasn't been able to timely adopt the state plan. So you have 5-year plans, they get adopted in year 3. So just make it a 10-year plan. And what we proposed was that if you started with a new state plan, let's say in 2030, after that's adopted, you do a regional plan and then you do the municipal plan. They put forward a bill, and I'm going to propose that, in the 0 year of the decade, the state adopts its new plan. We adopt our new plan on the 1, which would line up really well with our existing plan. And then the following 8 years will be municipal updates to be in line with regional and state priorities. So that's going to be heard on Friday. But there's a lot of well-meaning proposals that, when you get into the details, just fall apart, unfortunately.
Okay, Sam, thanks. Any questions for Sam? Thank you very much. And now we'll take Janice for Eversource Energized Community Partnership. Janice?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
This program is a regional program with 11 municipalities, and we will be, it's energy audits that have been occurring already through Eversource. continuing that with heat pumps. We're going to be working with Sustainable CT on this. We're working with PACE, which is People's Action for Clean Energy, a state group, expanding the energy, residential energy programs, and doing just getting more outreach to towns, working better with all the towns. The timeline is pretty quick to get the applications in. We are requesting that this week applications for the towns get them into us, where we can then submit the application to Eversource by the 14th of March. I can send all the information out again to the towns that, just to remind you, we have one application in already. Thank you, Deep River.
Hey, Deep River.
Once we get all the applications in, we will figure out what the fiduciary costs will be through this. So that is still to be known on what we're going to do for that. Any questions about the program?
Any questions for Janice? You don't need any actions either, correct, Janice?
I do not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Land trust, back to you, Marlo.
Just a quick update for the land trust, and that is we will be having our last technical committee meeting for our strategic conservation plan in March. Having a little bit of difficulty exactly scheduling it because of the possible government shutdown, and we have some federal people working with us. So we're working on scheduling that. At the February meeting, we selected the recipient for the Melvin J. Woody Regional Conservation Award. We had 3 deserving nominees, and we will be announcing the recipient in March after we surprise our awardee. The National Park Service also came to the meeting to ask about community outreach planning and opportunities for the conservation plan. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions from Marlo? Thank you very much. Moving on, document digitation update. Kevin?
Yeah, hello, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment this morning to recognize Deep River. Paula Weglar in the town clerk and land use department took on the gargantuan task of scanning nearly 12,000 building department files. And through that effort, they were able to offer that as a digital format by emailing those documents to residents and property owners. Late last week, we went in and did a full migration of that entire database and brought it into Laserfiche. And we are intending in early March to create a public portal to post on their website to now offer that same information to the public online for self-service. So very excited about that. Again, congratulations, Deep River. Great job. It's a huge effort, and it proves to those folks that are still hoping to have that done in their own towns, that with determination, I believe it took them close to 2 years to do in-house, just chipping away at the pile. But once it's done, it's well worth the effort.
Yeah.
So thank you and
And
congrats.
I will say, Paula is like a little Energizer bunny, so that really helped because she could run up and down the stairs to scan things and run back down to the office. So kudos to her. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations, Deep River. And any questions for Kevin? Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
No, I'm just saying thank you.
You got it. Chairman's report and Executive Director, Sam?
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm recovering from a cold, so I have mute to keep my cough to a minimum. All right, let's see. I have our financial report. Just give me 1 second. Okay. As of January 31st, 2025, the council had completed the 7th month of fiscal year 2025, and the overall spending is within the parameters of our adopted $3,271,577 budget. Due subscription professional development seminars budget had reached 70% of this budget versus 58% of the year completed. This actually hasn't changed much. It was just things were lopsided earlier in the fiscal year. And some of our miscellaneous expenses are over due to some donations. And one of those donations was in memory of my father. So I want to thank the council for a generous donation to the Lymphedema Society. So thank you very much. As of January 31st, our STIF account totaled 1.9 million, and our Liberty checking account balance was $50,963. So that is our our financial report.
Thanks, Sam. Any questions on finance, Sam? My only comment is I think our staff is doing an outstanding job. I just want to commend them. It's evident through the grants we're getting, and you heard it today in a number of the reports. So again, thank you very much. We appreciate all that you do for us.
Yeah, and maybe under my report, I might add, I had a conversation with Irene Haynes about investigating how could we go about providing shared grant writer services. What would that look like? How would we go about doing it, either under the staff position, or as a contractor? What would the rules be for prioritizing, triaging what applications this person works on, and making all that, coming up with that decision matrix? And so I was brainstorming with her on that. And I was I told Irene, I'm sure she had to go to a committee, so that's probably why she's not here. I told her that I'd bring this up to the full COG, and if you're interested in maybe helping us brainstorm what that could look like, please send me a note, and maybe we'll set up a Zoom to discuss what that could look like. And the same thing I know Eric had put out there about other shared staff positions. So maybe we can make it a larger discussion about how, particularly our smallest towns, how we can help either with a COG contractor, a shared position, something moving forward like that. So I will just send me a note, or send Elizabeth a note, and we'll find a time for us to meet.
So Sam, just remember, it depends how many members are present if we have a quorum. But if we do, and there's that much interest, then we'll just call a special meeting.
Yeah.
To discuss this.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, if it looks like we're going to have a quorum, I'll coordinate the chair about getting it called as a special meeting and posted properly.
And the next COG meeting, Sam, Wednesday, March 26th, in person at
right now at RiverCOG. But if any of you have ideas of places you'd want to host us, either for a 9 a.m. meeting or a lunch meeting, please contact me, contact Elizabeth, and we could get working on that immediately. But right now, our default is going to be at the RiverCOG offices at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, March 26th.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything good for the council? See none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Dave, Rob, thank you.
And Carol, yep.
All in favor? Aye. I'm sure there's no one opposed.
Aye.
Everybody have a great day. Stay safe. It looks like the weather's changing a little bit. Thank you.
Tony, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.